If you've ever felt like you're trapped in a loop, living the same emotional experiences over and over, you're not imagining it. It's not just bad luck, and it's not a curse. It's something much more subtle and much more within your control, an emotional prison. Joe Dispenza uses this term to describe the way we become chemically addicted to our own feelings. You've probably heard of people addicted to substances, but what about being addicted to anger, to sadness, to fear? That's the kind of addiction that most of us don't even realize we have. Here's how it happens. A situation triggers an emotion, maybe rejection, maybe betrayal, maybe failure. That emotion floods your body with chemicals. If that happens often enough, your body starts to crave those chemicals, just like it craves caffeine or sugar. And without knowing it, you begin to recreate the same situations over and over so you can feel what your body has been trained to feel. Joe calls this living in the past because those emotions are tied to old experiences. Every time you think about what happened, your brain doesn't just remember it, it relives it. Your heart rate changes, your breathing shifts, your muscles tense. Your body thinks it's happening again right now. And in that state, it's almost impossible to create something new. The first step in breaking free is awareness. You can't escape a prison you don't know you're in. Joe teaches his students to start noticing the emotional patterns that show up in their lives. Do you often feel defensive? Do you expect people to let you down? Do you assume that certain goals are impossible for you? Those patterns are clues to the emotions you've been living in. Step 2 is the hardest, deciding to feel something different before your life gives you a reason to. Most of us wait for good news to feel joy, or for someone's approval to feel worthy. Joe flips that script. He says you must practice feeling the emotions of the future you want right now, without waiting for anything to change on the outside. This is where meditation becomes a powerful tool. By stepping away from the noise of your daily life, you can enter a space where your old triggers can't reach you. In meditation, Joe guides people to imagine their ideal future in detail, not just seeing it in their mind's eye, but generating the feeling of already living it. If you want to feel free, you practice freedom. If you want abundance, you practice abundance. Over time, your body begins to recognize those emotions as the new normal. And when your body believes the new reality, your brain starts filtering for experiences that match it. That's when opportunities, people, and events start showing up that align with your new state of being. This isn't about pretending bad things don't happen or forcing yourself to think positive all the time. It's about interrupting the automatic cycle of old thoughts and feelings so you can make room for something different. You stop running the same mental program, and you start writing a new one. Joe often says, the moment you start feeling different, you start creating differently. That's because your emotional state is the signal you send out into the world. Change the signal, and the world responds in kind. Breaking free from your emotional prison doesn't happen overnight. But every time you notice an old thought and choose a new one, every time you shift from an old feeling to a new one, you're picking the lock on your cell. Subscribe for more strategies that help you break free and create the life you actually want. Once you've taken the first steps toward awareness, the next phase is about mastering your inner environment. Joe Dispenza often emphasizes that your outer life is just a reflection of your inner state. If you want to change what's out there, you must first transform what's in here. The problem is, most people try to change their outer circumstances while still living in the exact same emotional state. They switch jobs but keep the same stress. They end a relationship but carry the same fears. They move to a new city but bring the same old stories about themselves. In other words, they've changed the scenery, but not the script. To truly escape the emotional prison, Joe teaches that you must rewrite your internal script, and this begins with your thoughts. Every thought you think produces a chemical signal in the brain, and that signal tells your body how to feel. Over years, this cycle becomes so automatic that you stop noticing it. You wake up already thinking about yesterday, already feeling the emotions of last week, last month, or last year. And so, the past becomes your present, over and over again. Joe's strategy is about breaking this automatic loop. He calls it becoming conscious of your unconscious self. This means paying attention to what you're thinking and feeling throughout the day, not just during meditation. Every time you notice you're replaying the same worry, the same resentment, or the same regret, you have a choice point: continue the loop or interrupt it. Interrupting it doesn't mean suppressing it. It means replacing it with a thought and feeling that matches the future you want to live. For example, if you catch yourself feeling powerless, you could replace that with the thought, "I have the ability to create a different outcome," and then practice the feeling of confidence or empowerment in your body. Joe uses a lot of neuroscience to back this up. When you repeatedly fire the same neural circuits, you strengthen them. This is the basis of habit. But when you stop feeding those circuits and instead fire new ones through different thoughts and feelings, the old patterns weaken and new patterns take their place. This is literally rewiring your brain. Here's where things get interesting. Your body doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined event and a real one. If you can repeatedly imagine yourself living in a new emotional state, freedom, joy, peace, abundance, your body starts to respond as if it's already true. And when your body believes it, your actions and decisions naturally align with that state. That's when you start making choices that support your new reality instead of reinforcing your old one. This process takes commitment. Emotional patterns are like well-worn paths in a forest, easy to follow because you've walked them so many times. Creating a new path takes deliberate effort. In the beginning, it might feel awkward or even fake. That's normal. You're asking your mind and body to accept a new way of being, and like any change, it comes with resistance. One powerful tool Joe recommends is keeping a future journal. Every morning, write down how you want to feel that day as if it's already happening. Describe the actions you're taking, the people you're meeting, the opportunities showing up. The more sensory detail you add, the more your brain and body engage with it. Over time, you start to naturally seek out experiences that match what you've been writing. Escaping the emotional prison is less about tearing down walls and more about building a bridge to a different state of mind. The walls dissolve as you stop feeding them with your attention and energy. And once you've had even one genuine experience of feeling the future before it arrives, you'll know this isn't theory. It's how reality actually works. You're not trying to control life. You're learning to control the state from which you live life. And from that state, everything changes. When you begin to live from a new emotional state, the shift is subtle at first. You might notice you react differently to situations that used to trigger you. Maybe someone cuts you off in traffic and, instead of getting angry, you feel calm. Maybe a conversation that would have left you feeling judged now leaves you untouched. These small victories are signs that you're no longer letting your past dictate your present. Joe Dispenza often says, "Your personality creates your personal reality." Personality isn't just about whether you're introverted or extroverted. It's the combination of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Change those, and your personal reality must change with them. This is the heart of breaking free from an emotional prison. You are no longer defined by your history. You stop identifying with the events that shaped you and start identifying with the person you're becoming. That shift alone rewires your choices, your relationships, and even how others respond to you. One of Joe's most striking points is that your brain is constantly updating based on your experience. When you keep living the same experiences emotionally, you keep reinforcing the same wiring. But when you introduce new emotional experiences, even if they begin in your imagination, your brain starts building new connections. These new neural pathways become the foundation for a different future. You may find that as you hold a new emotional state, certain people, habits, or situations naturally fall away. That's not loss, that's alignment. When you raise your emotional frequency, you stop resonating with the environments that match your old state. This can feel uncomfortable, but it's also a sign that you're making space for something better. Another key to Joe's method is consistency. Just like going to the gym builds muscle over time, practicing new emotions builds a new baseline for your life. Skipping a day won't erase your progress, but showing up daily compounds the change. Even 5 minutes of intentional focus each morning can set the tone for your day and keep you moving toward your vision. Joe often describes this as becoming the creator of your life instead of the victim of it. Victims wait for the world to change before they feel better. Creators decide how they want to feel and bring the world into alignment with that decision. The emotional prison dissolves when you stop giving your power to the external and reclaim it for yourself. And here's the beautiful irony. When you no longer need certain outcomes to feel whole, those outcomes tend to arrive more easily. Opportunities flow, relationships improve, health stabilizes. Not because you forced them, but because you've changed the internal conditions that shape your external reality. The process isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you really are, without the layers of fear, resentment, or limitation that have been built up over time. This version of you, the one who lives free from old emotional cycles, is capable of creating a life you may have thought was impossible. It all comes back to the core principle. Your emotional state is not just a reaction to your life. It's the blueprint for it. Change the blueprint, and the structure changes automatically. You have the key to your own cell. It's in your ability to feel now what you want to experience later. And once you start living that truth, there's no prison that can hold you. What emotion do you think you've been most addicted to? And are you ready to replace it with something new?